This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judging it blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to A's Cast Live, Monday here at the Ballpark in West Sacramento. What a show we have for you today. Willie MacIver is going to be here. I don't know. He's in the bullpen right now.
Yeah, I see him right now. He's talking to somebody.
We will have Brian Anderson, the left-hander, the World Series champion with the Arizona Diamondbacks, now a longtime broadcaster for the Rays. Front of the program will be here. And then David Forst, the general manager, at 5:35. We need to get me up in my ears. How do we get me up in my ears?
No.
I sound louder.
No.
No. We got some great notes for you coming up here. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great, Towny.
Are you?
Yeah. This is good stuff.
How your Yankees doing?
They're winning, actually. It's 3-0.
You know, it's funny. David Feldman, I ran into him, and the great David Feldman, because this really goes along with isn't it amazing how much the American League East is tanked? Did you know on June 29th, the Rays were 47-36?
I knew they were good, but I didn't know it was that good.
And since they have the worst record in baseball at 10-26, they've had to start playing more games on the road because everybody's so afraid of the heat.
All that because who they trade? I mean, who's the big guy they traded? Not really. They really didn't trade anyone. They got Baker from the Orioles. Like, they didn't lose anybody.
They're 10-26.
Yeah, it's not.
They were a half game out of first place. Who was in first place?
At that time, was it still the Blue Jays?
It was the Yankees.
Oh.
Yankees were – if we go to June 29th, the Yankees were in first place. And since then, the Yankees and the Rays have just fallen off the face. And now it's time to bury him with Springs and Lopez, who the A's traded Joe Boyle for. Normally, you think lately the Rays are getting the better of everybody in trades, but not now. Jeffrey Springs has been fabulous, and Jacob Lopez – man, well, we're looking at him for the future of this organization. So a lot of interesting things going to get into today. I think one thing that I loved yesterday, like I think about yesterday's win, and I just think about how fired up we were in the postgame show yesterday, is you stole a win on the road without hitting home runs. You found a way to win without home runs on the road. I loved it. Now, didn't love Lawrence Butler running through the stop sign, but if that kept us from extra innings and winning on the road, I was all for it. How are you, Commander?
I'm good. I was actually I had to watch those highlights coming back because I was driving back coming from down south, and I was listening to the game, and Johnny's call was really good of him talking about MacIver's plays, and then hearing the hit MacIver had late in the game when Lawrence Butler ran through the stop sign. And good thing it was a bad throw. So it was a nice way to see the A's win without the home runs. I gave it to you guys on Saturday, which was remarkable.
What did you give us on Saturday?
That we're a top 10 team in baseball when it comes to batting average for the first time since 1989.
Well, did you continue to watch the pre- and post-game show over the weekend?
As producer always wants to hear about himself, so.
That is correct. The A's, and it was batting average, it was home runs, it was slug, and I want to say OPS might have been something else, but 4 categories. The A's haven't been top 10 in those 4 categories since 1988.
I saw Martine's article. That's why I knew that.
Which is just like, wow. So, I mean, there's a lot of excitement right now. I mean, when you start to look at where the A's are right now, how they are playing, right? So you start looking 11-5 in the last 16 games. We've got stats going back to June, which are really good. And it's just exciting times right now as a team is playing far better than what they were. And this is what we wanted to see.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of the young guys here, which is nice. The pitching's been way better. I mean, I know you guys are going to highlight it today on NBC Sports, Ace Cast and NBC Sports California, but the starting pitching is 9-4 at the 2.77 ERA over the last 16 games. That's truly remarkable for what we saw earlier in the season from the starting staff. I know Luis Severino's now on the injured list, but having guys like Jacob Lopez and Jeffrey Springs kind of buoy the rotation for the A's, and that time during that, and then with Luis Morales making his first major league start the other day, Jack Perkins gave up the 3 runs in the first inning, and then he looked dominant after that, which was nice.
Technically was yesterday.
Oh wow, there he was yesterday.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
Well, the 2 2/3 with 5 walks. I mean, I was watching it on game day, and I was like, okay, come on, get through this inning. I'm like, all right, he has 3 walks. All right, then I saw he had 5, and I saw, oh well, he's out already. And Ferguson in the bullpen did a nice job keeping them off the board after that. So a nice series win against the Orioles team that maybe they are the most disappointing team in the American League this season. I think there's no question.
So since June 19th, the Athletics are 23-21. Since the All-Star break, they're 12-10. Last 16, as I said, 11-5. They finished that road trip with a 4-2 record. Something that is a good trend, and we'll see if it continues here at home at the ballpark in West Sacramento. Other than that hiccup loss against the Diamondbacks, they're 4-1 in their last 5 series. So we talk about winning series. Can you win series? Can you get into that run of winning series? Everybody is going to go highs and lows, right? Everybody's going to go highs and lows. But right now, winning series, really key for this team, learning how to do it. I understand we're going to go one game at a time, but you've got to learn to sweep and take 2 out of 3 from people, especially teams you should beat. And they should have beat the Nationals. They should have beat the Orioles. And you know what? You should beat the Rays.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm dealing with, now that MacIver is still out there, ISBA to come down now, because I don't want to have to bump him. And I know we wanted to talk to him about the Jeffrey Springs and the Rays. So we'll have Brian Anderson hopefully in the next few minutes, and we'll have Willie MacIver after. But yeah, the way the Rays have been playing, they're not the same team. I mean, the way you mentioned how bad they've been since they were close to being in first place and falling out of the race. So this should be another hopefully series win for a team, and they've been collecting series wins recently, which is something you want to see from a young team moving forward. I know we don't want to carry those stats into next year because that gets people excited, and well, we know how that happened last year with the 39-37. But
does it feel different though? Does this feel different than last year?
A little bit. I think so.
Because last year, right, remember Beto had some good starts, and we went to the offseason, oh, look at Beto. But Lopez is different than Beto, right? You now have Severino. You now have Springs. You got Perkins. You got JT Ginn. You got all these other guys going to be coming back who are coming back from injury. You feel like you got some legit starters, right? You have to feel like with a more seasoned Nick Kurtz, a more seasoned Jacob Wilson, a more seasoned Lawrence Butler, Tyler Soderstrom, still with Brent Rooker, you won't go through a stretch where you lose 20 of 21 or you lose 28 of 34. Like, you just don't see like that's going to happen.
Yeah, and I think I we've talked about it many times, but I think I mentioned to you the other day that if you just win half of those games and where you lost 20-21, we're talking about a whole different season. We're looking at maybe a potential third wild card positioning, like where this team could be. But I think we're seeing the potential what this team can be moving forward, and I think that's great because with the young pitching that's coming and, the guys coming back healthy, what Soderstrom's done recently, I think what is it, 10-game hitting streaks. Kurtz has a 25-game on-base streak.
So he got an at-bat yesterday, Sody did, but he walked.
So the
10-game hitting streak is still in play, and Nick Kurtz, in his first at-bat, even though he went 0 for 3, he walked. So his on-base streak is still alive.
Yeah, it's 25, right, is what it is now?
25.
What he's been – I know he hasn't homered since Houston, but it's just showing that he's becoming a complete player by still getting on base and getting hits without having to rely on the home run, which is something the team – we know they're built on slug and home runs, but they've been winning recently without the home runs, which is nice to see.
Well, I'm not sitting here cranking out my own data, but I just wonder if we talk to Bushy, are we seeing Nick Kurtz being pitched different? Like, the book is now out, how people want to change, how they attack him. It's the adjustment of, first it was the adjustment of Kurtz getting into the league, trying to figure out how to be a productive player here. Clearly he did that. Now the league is adjusting to him, and now it's going to be his adjustment back. You adjust to the league, and the league adjusts to you your entire career. Is that what we're seeing right now? And he's still doing a hell of a job. He's got a 25-game on base streak. We're not seeing the power, which is fine. I actually kind of like it. I like the fact, because you guys are not you guys. I'm not saying you, Cody, but you guys. And I'm looking at, he's Jim Thome. He's Jim Thome. I'm like, nah, he's not Jim Thome. He's different. He swings it differently. And Steve Sachs made the when he talked about how Nick Kurtz has the ability to hit like a middle infielder, like it was that's why he's special. BA is joining us here early, coming down. It's been a while since we've seen him. We wanted to get you down. Check out our new set here.
I love the set.
H-Cast Loud. This is where we also do the pre and post for NBC. How are you?
I'm well, considering we are just starting the second half of the longest road trip, and I think this is my 33rd or 34th year in this game, and have never been on a road trip this long. We are in a 4-city, 12-game, 14-day, well, actually 15-day if you count the travel day, coming out here after the game. We had a noon game on Sunday, week ago yesterday against the Dodgers. On the plane by 5 o'clock, flying out to Anaheim, Seattle with the day off, come in here, play 3 here, go to San Francisco with the day off. So it is a long, long road trip. But all things considered, I've never been to Sacramento. Love the place that we're staying. Love this ballpark. This is fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Well, I got to tell you, I know exactly how you feel living in the Bay Area, but staying here for all these games. I'm killing the Bonvoy points.
Yes.
It's like
yes,
I now know what it's like to live in Sacramento, as it's been a lot of fun. But, that's kind of the hardship that we knew, that the direction was made, obviously, by our organization. Unfortunately for you guys, the Hurricane. I mean, it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. It's like we are dealing with things that the other 28 teams aren't dealing with.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And I'll tell you what, we have been very fortunate, because when you think about, Tampa, and that's why our schedule was front-loaded with a lot of home games. We actually moved some series around. That's part of the reason why this road trip is so long. The 3 games in Anaheim were supposed to have been played in Tampa at Steinbrenner, but they moved some series because the weather in April and May, you can kind of get by in Florida, because then it starts to become the rainy season late May, and then the rest of the year. So so that's why this road trip is so long. But we have been fortunate. We've only had a handful of delays. One long delay, about 2.5 hours. Everything else has been really short. We've played over 60 games already at home. And so we have been very, very fortunate in dodging some of those raindrops, and not only the raindrops, but it's the lightning. Tampa Bay.
Ooh.
Tampa Bay is the reason that the hockey team is called the Tampa Bay Lightning. It is the lightning capital of the world. And so, that was the big fear, because any lightning strike within a certain perimeter, you got to clear, even if it's not raining, you got to clear the field, you got to clear the stands, and you've got to wait at least 30 minutes and hope there's not another strike, or the clock starts again. So we've been very fortunate that we have avoided, I'm sure the last 20 games at home, we're going to pay for it. Yeah. But the first 60 plus have been pretty good.
Well, if you ever watch a PGA Tour event and all of a sudden the horn comes out, everybody off, yep. Lightning cannot play. Now, since we got this note, since June 29th, the Rays have the worst record in baseball at 10-26. Now, a lot of people are going to say it's the road, but why do you think they have struggled so much recently?
I can't tell you. I can give you facts, and I don't know why the facts. What was the date you have?
June 29th.
Okay, well, I'll take you back to June 27th. That's when it started, because they have the worst record in baseball from June 27th. Here's the crazy thing. This team started off the year, and the first month and a half, you were looking at them and like, what is your identity? Who are you guys? Who are you trying to be? And then all of a sudden, from May 20th through June the 26th, they were the best team in baseball, and it really wasn't close. They went 25-9. They were number 1 in ERA, both starters and bullpen. They had led Major League Baseball in that time frame in stolen bases. They're always going to steal bags, but they led in stolen bases. They were third or fourth in home runs. So the long ball had come into play. They're running the bases like crazy. They're laying down bunts. They're pitching well. Their defense is locked down. They had the highest average with runners in scoring position in Major League Baseball. They had the highest batting average. On and on and on you could go.
It sounds great.
25-9, okay? And it was funny because I did an interview locally back then, and I can remember famous last words. I can remember saying to the gentleman that was interviewing me, show me a weakness. Show me a weakness on this team. They are scoring runs by any means necessary, small ball, home runs, whatever, pitching, bullpen, defense, everything, starting June 27th until now, including the 29th until now, the worst record in baseball. I have no idea. Best record in baseball for 5.5 weeks, worst record in baseball since. And it's been a complete collapse all around. They're still scoring runs. They're not getting the timely hit as often as they did. The home runs have dried up a little bit, although that's starting to pick up here recently, but the pitching hasn't been the same. The starters have been okay. And the bullpen seemingly, and every guy out in a bullpen is going to have a struggle here or there for the most part during the course of the season. It seems like in this stretch, everybody has gone through their little tough stretch at the same time. And you've got a few guys that are coming out of it now, but it just everything took a tick south, all parts of their game. But to be the best team in baseball over a span of 34 games, and then the worst team in baseball over a span of 38, 39 games coming right after that, it's hard to explain why. I can just tell you what I've seen. I don't know how you have that big of a swing.
How about this? Because we have all these data people and all these analytics, and they can give you whatever you want. But the reality is we're dealing with human beings.
Yeah.
And human beings gel and vibe off of each other in a good way and sometimes in a bad way. This being a World Series champion and playing on an unbelievable team.
Yeah.
And you've been on some bad teams, right?
Yes,
You've broadcasted for some good and some bad teams, right?
Yes.
We all know this. When things are going good and everybody's vibing together, there's something special going on, but it can flip really fast. And when it flips, there really aren't answers.
No, and that's where the leadership has to come in. The leadership in the clubhouse, whether you call a meeting or you say, hey guys, listen, look what we've done. I mean, that's the thing. This team exposed itself because it's generally speaking, it's the same group that went 25-9 to then whatever.
So it's like, how's it possible?
That's what I mean. It's hard to wrap your mind around it, and so that's where they have to kind of kick their own selves in the backside and say, hey, listen, we know what we're capable of doing. We've lived it. We lived it for a long period of time. 34 games is a pretty significant stretch of time. And so to be that good for that long, they know what they're capable of. It's just a matter of getting back. I think it becomes a belief instead of sitting back and waiting for something bad to happen. And that's happened quite a bit. It's happened on this road trip. The road trip got started off pretty well. Went to Anaheim, won 2 out of 3. Then you go to Seattle, and in the opening series or opening game of that series, the Rays take the lead on the second hitter of the game. Brendan Lau hits a home run. The Rays take a 1-0 lead, and they hold the lead all the way until the Seattle Mariners' second to last hitter of the game. In the bottom of the 8th inning with 2 outs, they got 2 runners aboard. Here comes Cal Raleigh. You can't really pitch around him at that point. Griffin Jacks falls behind him 2-0, throws him a 2-0 sweeper, 3-run homer, a 2-0 deficit becomes a 3-2 lead. They close it out in the 9th, and then all of a sudden they start to pick up steam, win game 2, win game 3, and then the Rays come hobbling in after having a good start to the trip. Got to win series to get back into it.
Yeah.
Win in Anaheim, have the lead late. Game 1 in Seattle, it gets away from them. All of a sudden you come here 2-4.
Let's end on this, because the last time we talked, you had just arrived. Dwayne Stats, we had him on. You were just arriving into the booth. We were talking about the battle for the East, Yankees and Rays. Are you shocked now? We look up, it's Toronto. It's Boston. Are you shocked by this, and how do you think it plays out in the end?
I am shocked by this because Toronto seemingly came out of nowhere. And again, that's another team that has a similar cast of characters that just have never lived up to their own expectations. They just haven't been able to do it. And so you kind of start to figure that maybe they never will. It's like when I was playing with Arizona. So every year you knew it was going to be us and the Giants battling for the division. The Dodgers always had a sexy team. They always had big names, and they had a lot going on. But you knew by August or September, they were going to go away, and it was going to be us and the Giants. And that's kind of what everybody figured about the Toronto. But they just keep playing really good baseball, and they've got a pretty significant lead. Boston's kind of, stepping on the gas a little bit. The Yankees have been floundering. Rays have not been playing well. So it'll be an interesting last, a month and a half or month and 7 weeks or get whatever's left in the season. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to maintain, the level of play that they've done. But Toronto has been, eye-opening. I mean, they have played consistently good baseball, and they continue to do that. So they deserve right where they're at.
By the way, back in the day when you're talking about who came away with the ring, that'd be the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Yes, they did.
Not the Dodgers. That'd be your Arizona Diamondbacks.
That's right.
Arguably one of the greatest World Series of all time.
Oh,
your teammate Young Kim was just here. We had a KBO group play, and he came over with Korean baseball. He was just in the ballpark.
That series was something else. And I remember I started Game 3, Yankee Stadium, and I've said, anytime I've been asked about it, I'm like, I don't care how much longer I would have played. I never would have pitched in a game bigger than that. For the reason being is that obviously that was 9/11, everything that was going on in the country. That was the one year that everybody wanted the Yankees to win the World Series for obvious reasons. We had won the first 2 games in Arizona, had a 2-0 lead. And so I'm starting Game 3. They cannot go down 3-0. So you're going to get their best shot. You're playing in Yankee Stadium, first World Series game there. George W. Bush is throwing out the first pitch.
Oh, my God.
And you're towing the rubber up against Roger Clemens. So, bro, margin for error, slim. And I got beat 2-1. 2-1. And when I came out of the game, I had a runner on. It was a 1-1 ball game. And a little flare into left, drops, boom, score. Clemens a couple more. Here comes Rivera. And ball game. And that was the only normal game really of that entire 3 in New York, because the next 2 games we had the lead in the 9th.
Yeah.
And then the home runs. And then we go, but all of a sudden we fly back to Arizona. Like, what just happened?
Yeah.
We were up 2-0 in the Catbird Seat. We're down 3-2. And, but at the end of the day, we were the first to 4.
Hey, so you're the best. You guys are great. We love watching you.
Awesome.
Good luck the rest of the year.
Yes,
and
sir.
we'll be watching.
Beautiful. I'll be watching here too. Beautiful night. Thank you.
Willie MacIver will join us next right here on A's Cast Live.
A's outfielder J.J. Bleday opened up about what he learned in AAA and how it's fueling his game during his appearance on A's Cast Live with Towny.
When I was down there, I had a chance to reflect, and I'll tell you, I didn't belong in AAA. I belong here, and I just got to keep telling myself that, and believing in that, and trusting in that. And like you said, just being the athlete that I am, and going out and competing and trusting it, and just having that mindset day in and day out, trying to prove yourself, and just stop putting expectations. Just go out and play and have fun with the boys.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
For just $25, fans can sit in the general admission outfield grass for all regular season home games. Tickets for that day's game will open up daily at 9 a.m. for purchase at athletics.com/lawn. Sign up to receive A's alerts to receive a text the first morning of each home series as a reminder. For more information, visit athletics.com/lawn.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
2025 All-Star Brent Rooker joined Towny on A's Cast Live to reflect on becoming an All-Star for the second time in 3 years.
And I walked in that locker room in Seattle and saw my jersey and saw the rest of the jerseys that were there, and it's kind of like one of these things doesn't belong here, and that's probably mine. I didn't feel like I was the same caliber of player as the rest of the guys in in that clubhouse. So to be able to do it again 2 years later, just continues to help me build confidence and know that I can go out there day in, day out and compete at a pretty high level.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/AceCast.
Unlock offers and receive exclusive in-game features by downloading the MLB Ballpark app for iPhone and Android today. Plus, get the latest information on game time, schedules, and more.
Streaming from West Sacramento, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All right, Willie MacIver joins us here on A's Cast Live, and I was just telling him yesterday on NBC when we were doing all of our sponsor thing, you were like the Toyota turning point for the double that you hit in the ninth inning that brought in two, and Lawrence Butler may have run through that stop sign or not, but doesn't matter. It was the game-winning run. But then we go back to the fourth inning we were highlighting. Not only did you have the incredible play on the bunt, but then to throw the runner out in the fourth, I mean, you were like a human highlight reel yesterday.
I mean, you prepare right, and then you're in the right place at the right time, and good stuff happens. And for me, it was just good to help the team get a win, however I can do that. And for that situation in the fourth, just keeping the runs off the board for Ferd, that means a lot to me, try putting up zeros, and however we can get those zeros, I'm in.
Now, I was a little shocked that Jackson didn't try to avoid your tag more, but take us through that play. Ball's out in front of the plate. You grab it. You now got to jump back and tag the runner. It's a play you don't see often in our game.
Yeah, so for me, that play was interesting because I had a back pick going to third on there just in case, because we thought the runner was getting off. We were just trying to keep him close to the base, and he kind of laid down a late bunt there. So for me, it was pretty reactionary. I was like, oh, bunt, run, get the ball, look. I'm like, I think I could tag this runner out. And so, but at the same time, I was like, this is gonna be tough. So I I dove for him, and when I felt his leg hit the glove, I was like, thank God, because that's a play where if I don't tag him out, now we're looking at a run scored and now still a runner on first. So in a situation where, hey, we need to get an out, I was glad that I was able to make that play. I saw it, and in my head, I was like, I can make that play. And then I'm just thankful it worked out that way.
Then you throw the runner out at second. You're walking off. Like, how you feeling walking off after all of that?
Good. Very excited. Excited to see my boys in the dugout all jumping around, happy. And when you look in the dugout and the dudes are going crazy, it's a euphoric feeling, to say the least. But then at that moment, it's like, all right, we're on to the next inning right now. You can't sit on that because you could mess up the game at any moment. So it's like, hey, that was awesome, but we got to move on to the next thing going on here.
Now, as a catcher, you guys are all wired the same. It's about helping the pitchers. It's about helping everybody in the dugout, but then getting the big hit late in the game, driving in the 2 runs. Take us through it.
Yeah, that felt really good. And, going in there against Aiken, I was assuming he was going to throw me a heater because he's got a good one.
Yeah.
And I recognized that changeup kind of up in the zone where he doesn't do that. He's usually putting that changeup down below the zone. So I saw that thing up, and eyes got big, and I was able to stay on it. And to me, that was just about me executing my approach. My approach was to stay on it, see something middle in. And, I was thinking hit the ball to right center with the fastball. And when you do that and you're able to stay calm in the moment, the game just comes to you sometimes. And in that moment, I was fortunate. I did a good job of staying with my approach, and the changeup was up. And maybe if I'm trying to pull a fastball, I might swing through that changeup. So I was proud of myself for staying on my approach and being able to put a barrel on the ball in that situation.
All right. Since June 19th, the ball club is 23-21. Since the All-Star break, 12-10. Last 16 games, 11-5. You tell me through your eyes what you're seeing in that clubhouse right now.
An expectation to win every game. That's what it comes down to. Like the preparation that the guys are putting in, the mentality in the clubhouse is like, we know we can beat any team out there. And I think once you start seeing it happen, once you start, hey, we win a series here. Now in Washington, we win a series in Baltimore. Hey, we can carry that over. And there's a strong belief in that clubhouse that we have the guys to win every game.
I like that. Expectations to win. You got to have that.
Have to. You have to have it. I mean, if you don't have an expectation to win, you're just not going to win in this league. It's because every other team
has an expectation to win, and everybody's really good. So if you don't have that confidence and that belief that you're going to win the game, stuff's not going to go right when it needs to. But it really, to me, it comes down to like in those clutch moments, like when you have a belief that you're going to win the game, stuff just comes together a little better. You're playing more free. The next guy's going to pick you up if you don't get the job done. That takes a lot of pressure off everybody in the lineup.
All right, the job of a backup catcher is so interesting because there's so much that you have to do with the starting catcher. It's all about preparation. You are a guy that comes into the clubhouse every day. It's got to be the right attitude. You're helping everybody in the dugout, whether it's the bench coach, the manager, whether Bushy, Kotz. You're there to help. And then comes time like, hey, now you got to produce. Talk about the job and the role of the backup catcher.
Yeah, well, it is a lot of preparation, and then mentally kind of going into each day like, I'm going to catch, like in the sense of like, hey, I'm going to know this lineup back and forth. Even though I'm not starting, I have to know how to pitch each guy. And I want to just say that Langoliers, you couldn't ask for a better guy to be backing up. I mean, he does everything right. He shows up with a great attitude. He loves catching, and that's another big thing about being a backup. You got to love catching, which I love, and Shea loves too. So it's really easy for me to work with a guy like Shea.
You got to be nuts to like catching.
Yeah, that's what people say, but I mean, there's no other position on the field, man, where you get to have the impact on the game.
Everybody's looking at you.
Yeah.
And it's whether you want to be a leader or not, you better be a leader if you're a good catcher. Because once again, everybody is looking at you, and you handle the ball just as much as the pitcher handles the ball.
Exactly. And that's where the preparation comes in. And that's where you have to realize, like, hey, this isn't just about me being prepared. This is about me making sure that I can help our guys get zeros when my number is called. And that's my job. And I take a lot of pride in that. And I think a lot of it comes from just loving to catch, loving to put up zeros, loving to see our pitchers get better every day, because those guys are working hard every day. You see them in the bullpen, you see them in catch play. Like they are trying to get better every day. And anything and Shea would say the same thing, anything we can do to help them further their careers or put up zeros, put up numbers, get wins, we'll do anything. You want us to stand on our head back there when we're catching, we'll do it for you. So it makes me happy when you see that come into fruition in games, and you can get guys zeros, you get guys wins at the end of the game. See a guy like Elvis Alvarado, who's made extreme strides in his usage of his breaking ball and his changeup too. And when you got the electric fastball that he has, and his slow heartbeat out there on the mound late in the game, and the work he does when nobody's watching on his delivery, on his off-speed pitches, on mixing, and very open to learning. And you see it start to really have an effect on the team. And that's the kind of stuff that feels so good as a catcher.
All right, I can give you the numbers, but I think you already know starting pitching's been way better. Bullpen since mid-June has been fantastic. What are you seeing? Why are they getting better?
I think that when they have struggles and bad outings, you see them, all of our guys will dive into it like, hey, what can I do to get better here? Not, oh, I had a bad outing, I'm going to sulk about it. It's like, okay, it happened. Let's go review it. Are we tipping? Or is there something wrong with our mechanics? And I think pitching coach Scott Emerson's doing an absolutely fantastic job with these guys. Just being able to take the good and the bad and use it to keep getting better, not just like not putting a guy down or not saying, oh, I had a good outing, we're just going to ride it. It's always it's an everyday process. And I think our pitchers, you're starting to see the results of how they've been working since, even April, May, when stuff wasn't going as good from the pitching aspect. This is all stuff that's been building up from then. And now to see these guys actually making these adjustments and getting better and locating pitches, landing off speed in hitters counts, all those, there's so many things that go into pitching. And I think they do a great job of stepping back after an outing, good or bad, and reviewing what they did and what they could do better for the next outing.
Brian Anderson said as he was leaving here, obviously he had a really good career, World Series champion, now longtime broadcaster for the Rays. You got to meet him, and he said, make sure you enjoy every single moment. And I'm like, Willie Mac's enjoying everything. Is there a day that goes by you go, yeah, I'm not enjoying this?
No, that's the one thing that I am not worried about for myself. I don't. I'm sure there's guys who enjoy it as much as me, but you'd be hard pressed to find a guy who enjoys it more. And because this is what I wanted to do my whole life, and I'm doing it, and it's everything I thought it would be, and it's just an absolute joy to come to the yard every day.
Doesn't get any better than that, man. You make me fired up. Let's go. Let's go. You know what? Let's get this winnings contagious. Finish strong.
Yeah.
42 games left. Finish strong. I know that's means a lot to a lot of you guys because you want to hopefully carry something over into the offseason.
Absolutely. We got to, in my mind, it's like, hey, we're on to the next one. Regardless what happened last week, good or bad, you have to put it in the past, go on to the next series. We got Tampa Bay this week, and we're planning on winning the series.
All right, you keep making plays. We'll keep putting you on.
Yes, sir.
How about that?
Yeah,
good
works
stuff
for me.
All right, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
You are good, my man. Willie MacIver joined us right here on A's Cast Live. I believe we're going to have the general manager, David Forst. I'll talk you up to David Forst to see what old Forsty has to say. So great stuff as we continue here on A's Cast Live. Willie MacIver right here on set. Doesn't get any better. Thank you, Greg Korn. Thank you. You turn your mic off. There you go. Because I can hear you talking the entire. I hear you. I hear everything you're saying. How are we hearing you then? Go ahead, David. Go ahead. Good. David Forst. David Forst, the general manager of the Athletics, going to be joining us right here on A's Cast Live. A lot to get into. How are you?
I'm good, Chris. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Oh, good.
Things are. I mean, you got to be enjoying what you're seeing.
Yeah. Last week it was a good road trip. Win 2 series in a row. Played well the last couple of days at home. So.
Yeah, I mean, you go 4-2 on the road trip. I'm looking at since June 19th, you're 23 and 21. I mean, you're starting to hear you're starting to get consistency, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously made a few changes to the roster, and there was guys need a chance to adjust to that. But yeah, look, we've played well. I don't know exactly what our record is over the last 6 weeks, but I think we have been consistent. We've pitched better. Obviously, the hitting has been consistent pretty much all the way through, and yeah, it's been nice to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. When you start looking at this ball club going forward, 42 games left. What from a front office perspective, what do you want to see?
I'd like to get healthier. I'd like to get Denzel and Jacob and Sevy and Muntz back out there first. Yeah. I think that would be nice. And everybody's making progress in their own way. So I think we got a good chance to see those guys hopefully sooner rather than later. But we had that little stretch in there late June, early July where we had this whole group kind of together. And it'd be nice to get everybody back for September to sort of give ourselves some momentum.
Do we have a chance to see all 3 of them the rest of the way?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think all those guys are making progress. I think, Sevy had an MRI today that was very positive, and I think he's going to, be back sooner. And Jacob and Max are swinging the bat. Yeah, Denzel's very close to going out and playing. So, yeah, we're going to see all those guys.
Yeah, it's great looking out today, and you saw Muncy and Wilson taking ground balls. You're like, that is a really, really good sign. Let's talk pitching because you're pitching right now. When you just look at the data, I mean, we'll get to the bullpen because they've been really good since about mid-June. But just talk about starters all of a sudden. You're really starting to have really good numbers from the starters.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had some guys who needed to settle in, and whether that was coming from other clubs or getting their feet under them in the big leagues, whatever the case, like – we had guys in the first couple months of the season that weren't 100% comfortable, but you see what they can do when they are. And the guy going tonight, Jeffrey, has been incredibly consistent basically from the first month on. We saw Perk over the weekend get his first win. We saw JT, what he can do when he's consistent. Nice to get Luis a start. Obviously, he needs some more time in the big leagues to feel comfortable. But yeah, it just everybody's so much more at ease when your starter goes out there and gives you 5, 6 innings, 7 innings, whatever it is. And then, it's not a 5-alarm emergency in the bullpen every night.
No doubt. And talking about innings, one guy that looks like he has the ability to give you a lot of innings is Jacob Lopez. Obviously, the trade was a big trade as it looks now for Joe Boyle going to Tampa in return. what you're getting with Springs and what you're getting with Lopez. If you talk about Jacob Lopez, did you know he could be this type of pitcher? What were the expectations when you brought him in?
Yeah, we talked about Jacob as a starter from the moment we made the trade, and another guy who came up, relief, had a really good start, went back down. Like it's never just sort of a straight line for any of the guys, particularly guys without a lot of big league time under their belts. And Jacob has come up, and every time he goes out now, we feel like he's got a chance if he throws enough strikes to get deep in the game. And we saw what happens when he's not in the zone and his pitch count is up in the 80s and 90s in the 4th, 5th inning. But when he pounds the zone, and he's got a chance to go 6 and 7 innings and get some swings and misses along the way.
Yeah, he's been a lot of fun. He looks like he's very durable too.
For sure.
Durability is the huge key in our game, no question about it. So when you look at the trade, that was big. And you didn't mention Perkins, getting to see him start with some. We like the idea of putting him in the bullpen, getting his feet wet, but now he looks like one of these guys, like he could be in the rotation for a long time.
Yeah, it's hard not to enjoy Jack in the bullpen. His stuff is kind of sexy. He comes out, throws hard, he gets some swings and misses, but this guy was drafted as a starter, developed as a starter. I saw him in the fall league a couple years ago where he was just getting some extra innings pitching in the pen, and I told him, don't get too comfortable out there because it's not easy to start, and if you can do it, we're going to count on you to do it. And you saw what he was capable of the other day.
Yeah, I was saying once we hit February pitchers and catchers, no more bullpen. He's in the rotation.
Yeah, look, it's so hard to find consistent, solid starters. We've obviously had to move guys in and out, but we've seen a lot of guys who are capable of doing it. And if you can do it up here, we're going to give you every opportunity before moving you to the pen.
Yeah, you see Morales has unbelievable stuff, but when you throw 32 balls to 25 strikes, that's going to be a little bit of a problem, but he didn't give up a run. You see that he's electric.
Yeah.
He's got to figure out the craft and how to pitch.
It's so normal to be nervous when you go out there. Obviously, it wasn't his first ever appearance, but his first start nonetheless. Yeah. I mean, we've heard from guys who say they can't even feel their legs out there in their first big league start. So you don't evaluate guys off their first appearance, their first start. You like the stuff. You know what he's capable of. We've seen it in the minor leagues, and I'm sure he will get another opportunity.
He's going to have a lot of opportunities. I mean, his story's interesting when you talk about the Cuban players, what they have to go through just to get here to have a shot.
Yeah.
Do you find more maturity with players like that? Because they've had to grow up fast.
They have, yeah. And Luis has been through a lot. I mean, our international department deserves a lot of credit. Dan Feinstein, Steve Sharp spent a lot of time in Mexico watching Luis, getting to know him. And you're right, he has been through a lot, having to get out of Cuba, spend basically a whole year on his own in Mexico as an 18-year-old, and then to come over here. And yeah, you like to think not as much phases guys who've been through that.
We've talked plenty of times with you about just how fickle and how tough it is with bullpens. You know, like your bullpen got out to a hot start. You rode it. Then all of a sudden they fell apart. And then now they're back together again. And ever since like whatever it is, June 20th, whatever, you have one of the best bullpens in baseball, second best ERA in baseball for bullpens. It's just so hard.
You can't say it enough that those guys have no margin for error. And the littlest adjustment, the littlest, mistake, and they're a totally different guy. And you look out there, Sterner went down and came back. Ferguson's now gone down and come back. Alvarado's been down twice, came back and threw 101, closed the game yesterday. So credit to Mark and Emo for figuring out sort of the right combination out there. I talked to Mark before the game yesterday, and we were going over who was going to throw, and he said, hey, I like the way Elvis is throwing the ball. If we have a safe situation, he's the guy. So, you talk through it. You think about what you have. Kelly goes 2 innings the day before and holds on to a lead for us. So Mark's done a really good job of moving these guys around and making sure that the combination fits.
Watching the game yesterday, Elvis had a little it factor to him. If you watch the game,
when you throw 101, it's kind of easy to have that factor,
not in the beginning, though. When he was first here and he was not throwing strikes and he was getting hit, he didn't have. But yesterday, he had some movements. He had a little twirl on a strikeout. You could tell he's feeling it. That's kind of like when you see a young athlete when the light comes on and he knows I can compete at this level.
Yeah.
Then you mentioned the stuff. He looks like he could be dangerous. He's got closer written all over him.
Yeah, no, he does have a little swag. I think you saw it with Perk the day before too. After those first few hitters, I think you saw Perk sort of strut through those last 6 innings, and it's nice to see. It's nice to know that guys feel comfortable. They feel like they can compete, and frankly feel like they can dominate at times.
Let's talk Nick Kurtz. I think it's what's been so impressive about Nick Kurtz is, after he has 19 total bases, 4 home runs, it's an absolute historic game. He hasn't hit a home run since, but yet he's got a 25-game on-base hitting streak.
Yeah.
He continues to get on. He continues to hit. What does that show you?
Well, look, he wasn't going to sneak up on anybody after that night. I think it was, I'll blame MLB Network for broadcasting it everywhere, but he's gotten every left-hander out of the bullpen. He's gotten everybody's A stuff. They know how to pitch him. They're busting him in. They're throwing soft stuff, and Nick has done an incredible job of adjusting on the fly, taking his walks, getting on base in that 2-hole, and then getting his hits too. He's not pressing to try and hit homers. I think he, like everybody else out there, knows he can hit homers. But you're right, the 25 straight on base streak, the just being consistent in the lineup, giving Shea cover, getting on base for Rook, whatever he needs to do, he's done it. He's really, improved as just a flat out major league hitter.
We didn't realize that his nickname at everybody's got a new nickname for him now, but back at Wake Forest, it was Spider-Man because everything sticks to him. Did you know he'd be this good defensively?
I saw him work pretty hard. When I went to see him in college, he spent a lot of time those 2 days working at first base, going out there early before BP. That was sort of the book on him, was this guy cared about his defense. He went out there and worked at it. I guess they don't hit pop-ups at Wake Forest. I don't know. Maybe they never got around to that. But yeah,
the metal bat, you don't get a lot of those in the metal bat.
We knew that this guy was serious about his first base play.
All right, the trading deadline has come and gone. We haven't talked to you since then.
Yep.
You made the trade that was the biggest trade at the deadline. Can we go through it?
Let's do it. Yeah, you thought there was a chance we were going to do nothing, I think, last time we talked. So I didn't do that. No.
I thought really there was So how did this thing go down between, I know you and AJ Preller have done battle on the basketball courts before, but obviously you guys have a very good relationship. How did the conversation start between you, AJ, and the Padres?
Well, it started slowly because I just didn't think they had the players to get it done. I didn't think, we were going to get access, specifically to Leo DeVries. And without that, there really wasn't a conversation. We heard from teams interested in Mason. As I always say, we have to be open to every conversation. Like right now, we are not a playoff team. I think there are a lot of ingredients of a playoff team here, but if our job as a baseball operations department is to build a playoff team, we have to be open to making changes and adjustments on the fly, and that includes listening on a player like Mason. And there were a few teams I thought maybe had the players to do it, and the conversations didn't really go, beyond the first couple, and then it really wasn't until Monday of the deadline week that AJ, in my opinion, kind of got serious and said, okay, like DeVries is part of this conversation. Now he had DeVries in a lot of conversations. They were serious about other big time star players. So you never really know if it's going to happen, but I made it clear, like there was going to have to be a bunch of players behind Leo. I didn't want it to get skinny after him talking about, our star closer, and he stepped up. I mean, he's never easy to deal with. I mean, that's why, AJ has the reputation he does of making these big deals and putting things together. But he gets things done. And ultimately we got the players we wanted.
So it's like a gradual thing. It's like, okay, we finally got to DeVries, but you're going to need more than DeVries. So it's a conversation back and forth that they just had to keep adding players. If you're going to have me give you Mason Miller, you've got to keep adding to the deal.
Yeah, and this, like, I will tell you, as late as like Wednesday morning, this was in his mind like a 2-for-1 deal, and within a matter of hours, it became a 4-for-2 deal. Like, it doesn't just happen in the first conversation. It takes until there's a little bit of urgency, and I knew, like I said, he had other sort of irons in the fire, and Leo was potentially going to be in other deals, and it took some urgency and closeness to the dedeadline to get there.
How good can DeVries be?
Look, I think Leo DeVries has a chance to be a superstar. I think he's 18 years old, performing in high A, playing the hardest position on the field. He's got athleticism. He's a switch hitter. He's taken walks. He's got power. Like, he checks all the boxes. It's not going to be this year. It may not be next year. Like, there is a learning curve no matter where you are. But I'd like to think he gets his feet wet in Double-A before the end of the year, starts there next year, and then he's off and running. So, look, when you're 18 years old in high A, that's a pretty good sign of things to come. So every guy we've had who's seen this guy, whether it was an amateur, pro ball, whatever, has said this guy has it.
So you see him moving up to Double-A before the end, and then starting in Double-A next year.
Yeah, I think that's probably
Wow.
the route we would take. Again, there's a lot that has to happen over the next month, but yeah, I think that's the likely path for Leo. I think we got 3 other guys in that deal. 2 of them are already Double-A. Nunez back in Triple-A throwing well. That were critical again to trading guys like Mason and Sears, and Braden Nett and Henry Baez have thrown the ball really well in their 2 outings so far for Midland.
Could you see them in the rotation next year potentially?
As long as I've been doing this show, I have said once you're in Double-A, you're part of the conversation. So sure. Yeah, I think, neither guy has a ton of experience, and there's obviously a big step to make at AAA. But I know Mike McFerrin, our pitching coordinator, is out there in Midland seeing them. Ed Sprague's going to go see them pitch. I'm hoping to get to Midland here to see these guys in person and see exactly what we've got, so we know kind of what the timeline is.
If you could give like the traditional Billy Owens comp, because he's got a comp for everybody, your assistant general manager, who would be your comp for Leo DeVries?
Man, B.O. is so much better than I am at this.
He's got a comp for he'd have a comp for you at Harvard.
Do I get a phone a friend here? Can I literally get him on the line to ask?
Is there whose skill set does he remind you of?
Like a Francisco Lindor is kind of like a smaller guy, but uber athletic, switch hitting, like with power, smooth at short. Like I think that's maybe, and Lindor was drafted at 18 out of high school. Like Leo's already in high A. So that's sort of the first one that comes to mind. I'm guessing if you text BO, he'll give you a better name.
Yeah, because my question for a lot of people was, if this kid was in the Dominican and let's say he was going to high school somewhere, would he have been the first pick in this year's draft?
Yeah, I think, we talked about that through this process. Where would he have been on our draft board? And I think with Willits and Holiday, I think he's right there in the top 5 on your draft board. Absolutely.
And I think about a guy that's tough to lose. I mean, obviously losing Mason Miller, you drafted him, you loved him. It's tough to lose him, but he's a closer on a team that's not winning right now. But a guy that took the ball for you a lot and was just a really great clubhouse guy, JP Sears.
Yeah, I mean, neither of those were easy conversations. Great guys. Like you said, Mason's story is a organizational success, from scouting, player development to medical, keeping him on the field, getting him back in 23, like every department. That's a huge win for the organization. A great guy and a good ambassador. I mean, literally the day we traded him, he went out to the Children's Hospital here in Sacramento. I mean, great guy. And JP, Mr. Consistent over the last 3 years, took the ball every 5 days, always in a good mood, always with a smile in the dugout. Like, not easy calls on either one of those. But like I said at the beginning, if your goal is to build a playoff team, you have to be open to making moves like that.
How was the deal with Cincinnati and trading Miguel Andujar?
Yeah, I mean, that one came together quickly on the last day. They had told me all along that Andujar might be a guy they're interested in late, depending on what other moves they make. And Miggy did a great job for us, obviously being a free agent after the year, not a guy who necessarily we saw here long term, and a young kid in Kenya Huggins who we'd seen in junior college, actually seen back in high school in Louisiana, coming off Tommy John, and had a really successful season so far after his rehab, and really all arrows pointing up on Huggins.
And you left it open about maybe bringing Andujar back. Is that something that you say to the player, hey, listen, we're trading you now, you get it, but we're gonna want to talk to you in the offseason?
Absolutely. Said exactly that when I called Miguel to let him know about the trade, because it was close to the deadline, and calling him with news that he probably didn't expect, but absolutely said to him, hey, good luck with the Reds. I hope you guys do well in the playoff run, but look, we'll be in touch. We loved having you here the last year and a half, and there's a place for you here if things work out.
Now, the calls on Severino, this calls on Spring. See, that's right. You're not going to do anything.
Okay.
And I was right
that
on
one,
that.
You got those right.
But you were getting calls on your pitchers, weren't you?
We did. But as you saw sort of industry-wide, the starting pitcher market never really happened, certainly in comparison to the reliever market. I mean, relievers were sort of where it was at this time around, and you only saw a few starting pitchers. Obviously, JP, Zach Gallen went. So there was never anything serious in either one of those. There just weren't teams willing to sort of pony up for starting pitchers of that caliber.
And now, as the front office, all this is done. I mean, what do you guys sit around, drink beers, hang out? What do you guys do in the front office the rest of the way?
Let's play some golf, right?
42 games left.
No, it's I've enjoyed watching the last week. Obviously, I think these guys know that there's a 2-month stretch here where they have a lot to prove. They obviously went out and did it against Baltimore and Washington. But I like I said, we got to get guys healthy. We got to get guys back and playing so that everybody goes into September and beyond feeling good about what they've done and then building some momentum.
All right, this is something that we'll end on this. For years in sports, we see teams that have rough seasons, but then they kind of find it in the end and they finish strong. And then we all go into the off season. It doesn't always carry over. Yeah. It doesn't always work. How much do you believe in the finish strong and it will carry over?
Well, this has always been a second half team. I mean, even in the years where we were playoff teams in some of our years with best records, we started slowly and we played well in the second half. So we've always believed that how you play here impacts the way you feel about the team in the offseason, what you're willing to do, what you want to build on for spring training. And I think in a year like this, it's super important. I mean, we saw guys who had great second halves last year who did build on it, guys who weren't able to and are still sort of trying to find themselves. But I think it does impact the way you go into the offseason and how you feel about your team.
Appreciate the time as always.
All right, Chris.
The David Forst Show right here on A's Cast Live. Coming up next, we're going to have Johnny and Ken getting you ready for A's baseball. Then I'll be back with Steve Sachs for A's Cast on NBC Sports California. Thank you for listening and watching A's Cast Live.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
This has been a presentation of The Athletics.